Hello to you out there, somewhere in this world. I'm grateful that we have found each other here on my channel called Inner.G. The reason why I chose the name Inner.G is because one, it can mean energy, and energy never goes away, so it always stays with us. It just transforms into other forms and kinds and sorts. Um, and the other reason why I chose the name is because it's kind of an abstract interpretational way and a wordplay too, because it can also mean the inner chi, so the inner balance that um, you and I can find within ourselves. So, based on the name, you can already tell what the channel will be all about. It will be about energy, it will be about spirituality, and everything basically that comes with that. I believe that all of us, we're kind of spirits. Every one of us has this spark that has been planted inside of us, that has been created by the universe, by the spirits, by God. Call it whatever you want, but that something that is all around us and within us. And so I believe that we all have this spirit, that we have this grain in us, and are here on this earth to make a human experience. And with that human experience, that comes with a lot of different topics, sometimes with different feelings, with sometimes even struggling and challenging aspects. And I feel like, and that's why I wanted to create this channel, to allow for a space to connect on this human experience dimension, where we can exchange and where we can grow together. So, sorry in advance for my English. English is not my native language, so bear with me if sometimes it takes me some time to get the right word out. Well, right, but to get the word out that I wanted, that intends the message that wants to come through. So thank you for your patience and for the space of making errors too, for allowing me to make errors. And since it's my first video, also thank you for being patient with me along the process and learning, allowing me to learn too. So this first video on this channel, what it will be about is about the feeling of being alone. So maybe you have clicked on the video because right now you're feeling alone. Well, let me say, if that's the reason why you have clicked on it, right now we're together. I don't know where you are, but I'm here in my kitchen, somewhere in Germany. And in a way, we're connected. So for this specific tiny moment in time, you are not alone. In this video, I will show you 5 steps, 5 takeouts, 5 things that you can do right now or after you watch the video to kind of shift that feeling. And in the end, I will also provide 2 more insights. So be curious and let's spend this next time together. I'm really excited and I'm really grateful for you, even if I don't know what your name is or where you are watching from. So the feeling of feeling alone. Sometimes this feeling can come up when we don't feel understood by our environment, our families, our friends. It sometimes can feel like a rejection, um, maybe at work, where we feel like we are left out. Um, the feeling of loneliness has different facets to it, has different faces. It can appear in different ways in our lives. But however it comes into your life, the feeling itself is something that I recognize to be true for me as well. So, doesn't matter the circumstance, the feeling is still the same. And this is something that we can all share because it's part of this human adventure that we're on in this 3D world. So, just because it is real for you and for me to feel lonely sometimes, it doesn't necessarily mean to be true, you know? Just because we have feelings and because we feel a certain type of way about certain things doesn't always mean that it's the absolute truth and nothing else might be true. There is a sentence that has crossed my path actually, that I still need to figure out who has said that, but the sentence is, allow your thoughts to come in, just don't serve them tea. And based on my yoga practice, I felt that this sentence resonated with me. In yoga, when we do meditations, sometimes we struggle, especially when you're new to the whole meditation thing. And sometimes even if you're old to it, if you're an expert in it, but haven't done it for quite a while, it can happen that once you meditate, you feel like the thoughts are louder and thoughts are keep coming in and it makes it hard to concentrate, to focus on the third eye, or to just be still. So one thing that I've learned from that yoga experience with the group is that once the thought comes in, I'm imagining it being like a cloud. You know, it comes in, and then I just imagine it being a cloud and passing me by. And once that cloud has passed me by, I ask, what else is there? And choop, there's another thought. And then I do the same, and I visualize this thought, whatever it might be, forming a cloud, passing me by. And the more I do that, the easier it gets to notice that I have the control over my thoughts, over what is coming. And it's easier to concentrate. And when I saw that sentence, not serving tea to your thoughts, I felt like there was a deeper truth to it. Because what happens is, especially with the feeling of loneliness, if you take that feeling, you feel it, it feels true, the more you allow it to grow, the more it will actually grow. The more you listen to it, the more reasons and facts you will see in your life, and you will think that this is a truth, but actually it's not real. Because what happens is actually, just because you're allowing it and giving it more space, it becomes bigger. It takes more of your space. It shows up in your playlists, maybe as a sad song. You basically find in the 3D world, you find more reasons to be lonely, because you focus on that. And so if for a moment you can just imagine it to be like somebody who knocks on your door. In that sense, it's the feeling of loneliness. It knocks on your door and it says, hey, I'm here. And you are basically inviting it in, and you're saying, well, nice to meet you. Great to see you. Have a seat. Do you want to take a tea? And then during that conversation, this feeling of loneliness starts to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And like what you're actually doing in that stage is you're giving it tea, you're serving them tea, actually. So it's a misconclusion that it speaks the truth, because just because you serve them tea, it gets louder. But just because it's loud, it doesn't mean that it's true. So there's a fine distinction to do here. And I want to remind you in this video that just because you think it's true, it's not necessarily true. And spirit, the universe, the angels, whatever you want to call it, they will find their way to you. They have created you. They know what you're thinking about. They know about your feelings. They know everything about you. They even know more about you than you know yourself. So the ways in which spirit will interact with you might be different than the ways that spirit is connecting with me. But it is definitely true that they are interacting with you. But here comes the big but. I mean, not the big but the but with B-U-T. Oh my gosh, here comes a but. Well, just what I'm trying to get out is I have lost my grain of thought. I wanted to say that spirit will always find a way to connect with you. And using the word and, it makes it a little bit easier. And sometimes, or most of the times, the way of spirit communicating with you is more subtle. It's quiet. It's not so loud as the feeling of loneliness in the picture where you serve the tea and it just talks in a lot of different ways. And this can be really loud, can be really present. But spirit's way is more subtle, so it's more quiet. It takes more effort to hear it. And as I said before, also, spirit will have different ways of talking to you than they might be talking to me. There are different levels to that subtlety. Is this a word? Or basically, there are different ways on how those subtle communications might look like. And those subtle messages, as I said before, they will find their way to you because, as we have discussed too, spirit knows you. They know how to get to you, to your heart. So I want to share one short story with you, um, which is a story that has a lot of humor in it too, because I found that, I don't know if it's because of my profession in the real 3D life out there. Um, I'm a social worker. So, as a social worker, have, there are a lot of my colleagues too with whom I share a specific type of humor, because in the most tragedy, there can be find a lot of humor, and it can be a great way of dealing with grief or um, tragedy too. And so the story that I'm going to share with you is about grief, but also about humor. When I had a cat for a long time. His name was Misho, and he was so dear to my heart, and he still is. He was really special in so many ways. And I'm not saying this because I was I was blessed enough to share paths with him, but he was really special in a lot of ways. For example, he could do tricks just like dogs. He could give feet, like I could, if I taught him to give his right feet or to give his left feet. He could do a lot of different things. And just as I was curious to get to know him and to study how cats communicate with me, I felt like he was also curious to know more about me and curious about, learning those tricks. And we connected in a kind of way in this instance, and it was fun for him and it was fun for me. So I don't want to dive too deep into that topic, but basically what I'm trying to say is that he was really special to my heart, but also to everyone who has met him. He has left a real impact on people's life, on doctors, on my family members, on a lot of different kinds of people. And so there was one day when he left this 3D world. And this day was, as you can imagine, a really tough day for me. A really tough moment. And I remember that I was in my car when it happened. I was blessed to have had the possibility to say goodbye to him before he left. And so after I've done that, I remember that I was in my car and I was crying, all the way to my home. And I got inside my flat and I was just devastated. I was just feeling bad, as you can imagine. It was the first time for me where I was experiencing death in my life. So that was also one reason that it hit me hard. And he, as I said, was very special. So anyways, I got into my home and I was just crying, like all over my place. I was just really sad. And I had my mobile with me at that moment. And remember that before I said that the ways for spirit to connect with us may differ. So one way that I notice that spirit is talking to me is, for example, through YouTube. Normally I would go to YouTube on my starting landing page and I would refresh the page and I would just see what kind of messages come up. Sometimes there will be notifications. Sometimes there are suggestions, from YouTube on certain things. But I feel like Spirit is basically using that kind of a tool to connect to me every once in a while. And it's not only on YouTube, but YouTube is one way. So on this day, getting back to the situation, I was on my bed, I was crying, and I received a notification. It flashed, like there was a flash, and I didn't know, I noticed it, but I didn't pay any attention to it because I was crying. I was sad, as I said before, as you can imagine. So after crying, I don't know for how much time, I believe it was an hour. I don't know. I don't remember. But it was a long time. Like I was really crying my heart out, like for real. And I must laugh so hard because every time that I think of this situation, it makes my heart smile so much. Um, as I was crying, there was a moment in time when I was just feeling that there are no more tears. I was just devastated. So I went into the bathroom, I washed my face, and starting to get clear, again, on my where I am, what I need to do, and so on. And so that was the moment when I actually caught my mobile and I saw a notification that came in before, and it was a notification of a channel which normally doesn't do a lot of notifications. I think that last notification I received from this channel was maybe like 1 year prior to that or something like that. So it caught my attention because it was really strange, that there was something new, that I was being notified about something new of this channel. And this channel is actually, maybe you know that channel too. It's called, the guy is called Kifness. And he actually has a channel where he takes animal sounds and creates a symphony out of it, a melody, a song. And so I noticed him for that. He started with animals. In the meantime, I believe that he also does those kind of songs with sounds of people, but never mind. So I received that notification, and I could see that it has to do some. It has to. It there was an image of a galaxy, and that I really found a little bit strange. So I clicked on it, and I noticed, and there was a short video. It was a short, and in that short, there was a red cat. There was this. It was a face of a red cat, like flying around, and in the back was the galaxy. And so the cat was kind of like flying around that galaxy and disappearing more and more and more into the nothingness of the galaxy. So Mishito, my Misho, he was a red cat. And in one moment when I was in my car crying on the way back home, I was just thinking, as a cat mother that I was, there was a moment where I was thinking, if there could only be a way for me to know that he's all right, that would help me in my grief. And that song was, I don't remember exactly, but it was something like he's happy and he's good and he feels well. And it was just this this funny way of projecting that red cat into that galaxy, which for itself looks really funny, how he does it. But I just found that Spirit has a really funny way also sometimes to communicate to us. And they did actually. I believe that there are more than just one spirit who supports us on our ways. That's why I say they. But they contacted me in a very humorous way. And also, it makes me smile because I noticed that if I would have clicked on the notification right in the moment when it came up, I wouldn't have spent so much time crying. But I was like, in my limited human body experience in that moment, I felt like, oh, I don't want any kind of communications. I just want to cry. I feel bad. And let me just drown in my own tears for a second. And once I drowned so much that I felt like, okay, it's enough, um, I noticed that the answer had been there all the time. But I wasn't just not ready for it in that moment. Um, but yeah, in I think in his it was also his way of Misha to let me know that there is no need to be so sad. Of course it's sad, but I don't have to be because he's okay. He's just somewhere else and doesn't mean that he's gone. So always when I think about that, it makes me smile. And I was also asking myself if I should include this on this video right now, but actually, there were many signs. I've heard a cat before, just when I was recording the first time, because I did a pre-recording before that one. There was a cat outside, and then in the meantime, when I did my tea, I watched a tarot reading, and there was a cat too. So I just believe that there must be something in for you within this story too, and that's why I feel like I want to include that and remind myself also today and right now that um, he's still here with me, and it brings a tear to my eye every once in a while because it's just wonderful if we're open, to get those messages and to be touched on such a deep level. Um, but yeah, I don't want to get too emotional right now, and also not to lose the point of this video. I have promised 5 steps plus 2 in the end, so let's continue. Um, as I said, so basically, the way that spirit communicates with us, it might be different for you. Maybe you're not a social media person as I am, or you're not using YouTube that quite frequently as I am. Um, Maybe you listen to music on a frequent basis. Maybe you are using, depending on the provider, maybe you have a shuffle function, where songs can come in, or you have certain playlists that you listen. No matter what your channels are. I mean, channels in a way of, no matter on which path spirit might find you, um, that might be different. To For me personally, it was YouTube. For you, it might be something else. And if you have clicked on this video right now because in this moment you're feeling alone, as I said before, right now you're not. We're talking, and even if I have not met you in person and don't know your name, don't know from where you're watching, for this moment right here, right now, we're together. Another way that I found really healing when I faced loneliness in my life was tarot. Um, when I watched tarot videos, there are, in the meantime, I'm watching tarot readings for a couple of years now, and there are a lot of people that have crossed my path. But there are specifically two people that have been that have been a companion for me ever since they have started their channels. So, as I said before, spirit finds its way. So I don't know, I cannot tell you exactly when they started the channel, but I just remember that they came up on my YouTube page. And since ever since then, I have seen them grow. I have seen their transformation in their personal lives. They have assisted me with their readings, with their guidance through the cards. And they have been with me through the good and the bad, and also the lonely moments in my life. And I remember, especially with one, there are two that I want to talk about. It's a woman and it's a man. And with the man, um, he he has a channel. His name is Caleb. Um, I will get to him later, but he provides guidance, and his channel is called Shredding La Veil Tarot. I will link his channel in the description box below, so you can. I would really ask you to check him out if you're into tarot. His specialization, besides the standard tarot readings, is that he does cusp readings. So if you're born within 2 months and two signs are true for you, he offers readings as well. And he has live sections. So in those live sections, he every once in a while offers also free yes or no questions. And I'm laughing because last week I was lucky enough to caught him live. Lucky because, as I mentioned before, I'm located in Germany, he's in the US. And just because of the time frame, sometimes we don't match, you know. But last week I was happy enough to catch him live. And I was so happy because it was also a moment where I felt a little bit lonely. But just in that moment, I felt connected, you know. Just in this exact moment, there was a person, Caleb, somewhere in the US. I'm here somewhere in Germany, and we connected. And so I asked him if I should do an English channel, having in mind that it will be about energy and spirituality and, you know, exchanging with others, building a community. And the answer was yes. So he is basically one of the main reasons that I'm sitting here today. So thank you, Caleb, if you're watching this. And what I wanted to say is, besides that experience last week, there were many moments where I would listen to him talk about spirituality, talk about his personal experiences, or just, you know, have a chit chat about the things of life, basically, you know. And in some of those videos, when he would say something that stick to me and in a way make me think, which happened a lot because I feel like he's a very wise person, I would, after watching the video, I would again take my mobile and open the voice recorder. And I would then reflect on what he said, and I would speak out loud just as I would if he would be with me. And I remember that in some instances, I felt this feeling of loneliness, like sadness. But I also felt like when I did that, when I recorded my thoughts and reflected what I'm thinking about it, or how we would talk with each other, the sadness more so became a kind of a little bit of a frustration, because I said, well, there's somebody that obviously I can feel connected to. I can that I would like to exchange more, but this somebody is so far away. So why is it that it's not in my 3D? Why can't I just grab a coffee with him and chat with him about life? So I noticed that the feeling of loneliness has kind of switched. It became something else. And all of a sudden, there was not only this feeling of loneliness, but suddenly it became a moment of connectivity, of connectedness, where I felt that there are also other people who are interested in spirituality and who believe what I believe in, with whom I can chat and exchange. And even if some of the tarot messages, not only from him, but also from the other folks that I follow and the other companions of my in my life that I listen to, even if those messages were not always resonating with me, or I couldn't maybe take every single time something out of it, that was all right. I would still listen to them because I also wanted to support them and their channel, and comment sometimes, or like or whatever. So it became kind of a routine to connect with those people who are located somewhere in the world. But it became a routine to me to connect with them. It made me feel at ease in a way within that feeling of loneliness, because I knew that there are strict parameters, there are measurable things. Like I could tell when he would come live, for example, or when he would publish about a specific topic or something like that. So it became tangible, it became touchable, it became measurable. And I knew if nothing else is there, he is. Just as so many others, so many other tarot readers. And looking back at it now, the way of recording myself after listening to him, it's basically kind of a conversation if you think about it. I mean, probably he would be creeped out if he listens to that right now. I'm sorry in advance. um, I don't mean it in a creepy way, like really not. I just tried to say that sometimes we're so much trying to hold on to things in 3D that we're missing the beautiful um, the, the beautifulness of connectivity on so many other levels. And also, what I want to say in this circumstance is that as a tarot reader, you are used to put out energy. You're used to put out guidance, words, and not a lot of times you will get something back. You will not get a feedback. You don't know how impactful the words that you say can be to somebody's life, in somebody's situation. And I also want to take this first video to thank Caleb, especially. Thank you, mate. Thank you, dear Caleb, for supporting me throughout this journey. And the other person that I want to mention in this video is Chelsea from IheartAries. She has a channel. I will also link it down below. And she is specialized in readings for Aries. And also, Chelsea has been a great companion for me, also, as I said, from the beginning, ever since she has made the channel until now. And I have shared really intimate and really vulnerable moments with her. And I feel like, every once in a while it happens that we meet people that we feel really connected with. And then there are other times where we just feel we're kind of growing a little bit apart, which is okay, And with Chelsea, I do feel that there is a strong energetic bond in a way. To describe it would go too deep right now, but I just want to say that no matter the frequent ways in which we connect with each other, I just know that we'll meet again, someday, somewhen. There's this song of Johnny Cash. It's called "We'll Meet Again." And even if sometimes maybe you right now listening to this story have also somebody who at one time maybe felt a little bit closer than right now, and that is okay. That is okay. Sometimes we don't understand, and that's fine too. Just know that for her at least, I know for certain that we'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when. It's a beautiful song. Anyways, also shout out to her. Thank you for your support, and I appreciate you being part of my journey, being part of my life. And also without her support, I probably wouldn't be also here right now, I believe, in this moment. So yeah, check her out too. She has a really great talent in providing guidance. She has a good connection, I feel like, to spirit. So yeah. Going back to the changes that we can make in somebody's life, in somebody's lives, even if you're not a tarot reader, you, or maybe you are a different kind of spiritual healer in your own world. And if you're not, just as a person, you can make a difference to somebody else's life. And maybe, just maybe, you will never know what kind of a difference you have made. But we are one, and to think that we don't, it's just, we're constantly impacting each other in one way or another. But going back to the subtlety, to the subtle way of spirit talking to you, there are many ways in which you can become more sensible to those subtle messages. And in the following, I will show you 5 steps on how to get more sensible to subtle things. So first of all, you can ask. Just ask. Say it out loud. or say quiet, but ask. Ask Spirit for signs. And if you ask, I just want you to be aware that it has more impact if you really take a moment of stillness and really believe that the question you're asking, that A, there's an answer, and that B, that answer comes from them, whatever they might be for you. But you have truly to believe that they are there for you and that they can provide you an answer. And if both of those scenarios are true, and you can take a moment of stillness, maybe touch your heart, close your eyes, however you feel comfortable with, the answer will come. So this is one. Then, second thing you can do to be more sensible to the subtle messages for Spirit is to know that Spirit will find its way to you. So even if you don't ask, sometimes there are moments where you don't even know what to ask. You just, because the feeling is so much that you don't even know how to put it in words. Well, if that's the case, just be reminded that Spirit will find you anyways. That's the beautiful thing. So the next time you open your YouTube or you listen to your shuffle playlist, you go outside of your flat, just start to notice if there might be some kind of signs that Spirit is trying to get to you. And the more you focus on that, the more you start searching for them, you will notice them. Because, as I said, Spirit will find its way to you. They know you. And they know how to get to your heart. Number 3, what else can you do? Well, you can become still. And sometimes this stillness, especially when we are facing feelings that we don't want to face, like, for example, the feeling of loneliness, it can sometimes be uncomfortable. But what you can do is, when they are uncomfortable, you can, for example, vocalize them. Again, grab your mobile, open the voice recorder, talk about it. The throat chakra can help to release a lot of stuck feelings. Go for a run. If you feel like in that moment of stillness you become angry, go for a run. It's a good training. Or go swimming. If you start to feel tired, that's okay too. Cry it out. Just don't serve it tea. That's the main focus here. Whatever you do, do it for a certain amount of time. But remember yourself and ask yourself, if it has been a long time, am I serving tea or am I getting it out? Because there's a difference and you can tell. So whatever you choose will be the right way for you. There's no right or wrong for everyone. There's just what makes you feel better. And one thought about vocalizing it, if you record it, for example, on your mobile, the good thing about that, and why I like to do it so much, is not only because I'm a talkative person, as you already might have noticed, but also because once your voice is recorded, you have the possibility to listen back to it if you want to. And the beautiful thing about that is that in moments when you really feel lonely, when you really feel like you're in the feelings, you're feeling it, or you're frustrated, if you listen back, maybe 1, 2 days later, sometimes, not sure about your type of humor, but to me it happens sometimes that when I listen to them back, I just need to laugh like really, really hard, because I could laugh about myself listening to me, and I just thought, well, my dear, like I was just exaggerating, like for real, like there might be a bad moment, a bad day, or whatever, but listening to it just makes me laugh, and I felt like noticing me laughing shows me that there has been a process, there has been a change. The feeling of loneliness might still be there, but if you record it, and you can analyze it, you can take a step back and analyze it, you can notice that there is a subtle shift happening, because right now it's not the feeling that controls you, but more so you can watch it from afar and say, well, if it was really a bad moment, you can say, well, that was really a bad moment. I get that. Okay. But for all the other moments, you can just say, well, I was exaggerating, or I was maybe, I don't know, really angry actually, or whatever. But here is when change is happening. And taking hard feelings with a grain of salt can be healing, you know? So, what I'm trying to get out is it's not so much about judging, but more so to see yourself in the process of vocalizing it, and analyzing what you're saying. You can also do that in writing. Some people get it out by writing. Whatever you do to get it out of your system, through your hands, through, movement, whatever it is, can be helping you in that moment. So going back to the number 5 steps, how can you become more sensible to the subtle things? First of all was ask for signs. Number 2, spirit will find you. Be mindful of the signs that there might be already. And number 3, become still and see what wants to come through. Number 4, move something. If you're in the moment of loneliness and you just feel lonely, and you feel lonely and you feel lonely and there's nothing else you can do, start to move things. And I don't mean to move something like that. I don't mean it in that way. I mean, right now, for example, I don't know if you're watching from a chair, from your bed, from your car. Look around you. For example, I see my kitchen right now. And there is a place that I think that looks beautiful, but I can clean it up a little bit. There are some things that I need to get cleaned up. So moving, what I mean by moving is to clean that specific table right now. When I feel that feeling and it's getting bigger, I do that. And maybe that will take me 10 minutes, maybe 7, maybe 14, I don't know, roundabout. Nothing big of a deal. But once you do that, find that in your environment right now. And once you do that, probably once you start doing it, you will start to feel a change. Maybe you will be motivated. You will start to get motivated to also clean up other things that have been stuck for a while. But first of all, what you have done is you have moved a physical thing into another place. And so with that, we come to number 5, What can you do to be more sensible for the subtle things? Number 5 is after you have moved something that comes with it, um, grab yourself a coffee or a tea and thank yourself. Appreciate yourself for what you have done in that moment. And what have you done? Well, my dear, I don't know your name, but what you have done is something awesome. You have noticed the feeling of loneliness. You have felt that it gets the best of you. And you have taken the next step to proactively go out of this feeling, to proactively change it, to proactively change your own life and take responsibility for yourself. And by that, allowing a new part of you, of yourself, to come out. And that, just thinking of it, makes me feel shivers all over my body. If you have made that, it means that you by yourself, you have supported yourself, you have been there for yourself. And that deserves a gratification from your side. Pat yourself on the shoulder. As I said, grab yourself a tea, cup of coffee, and just take a moment to really notice and appreciate what you have done for yourself. So after having given you now these 5 steps, I want to make also sure, we're both clear on that, I guess. The feeling will not go away. It's not that you do those 5 things and then you're totally a different person. It doesn't work like that. You know that. I know that. But what it does is to remind us that it doesn't stay there forever. And everything changes. And sometimes, even if we cannot go out of a certain feeling, but it's good to have a reminder that even if it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable, it won't stay there forever. But we have the power to change things if they don't feel uncomfortable. So I am coming to the end of this video, and I want you to think. Well, before I actually, I promised you to give you 5 steps on how to get out of this feeling, and now that you have made it through the end with me, thank you for being so patient with me until this moment right now. And finally, last but not least, I want to prove to you that the feeling of loneliness is not the truth. And I will prove it by 2 things to you. The first thing is, I want you to think about the last person that has touched you. It doesn't matter the way. It could be on social media, maybe on a comment section from another channel. It may be through a tarot reader. It may be through a conversation that you've had. It may be at the supermarket while you were waiting for something. Somebody maybe made you laugh. But try to remember the last time that you felt touched by somebody in a beautiful way. And so if you think about somebody, and that occasion has been more than the last 3 days, because today's Monday, so maybe you haven't gone out of your house during the weekend, which might be okay too. But if there is no interaction with another person, no matter in which kind of way, for the last 3 days, I want you to think about the last moment when you felt at ease. What do I mean by that? Well, when was the last moment that you have heard birds singing? When was the last moment that you felt the sun on your skin? When was the last moment when you really felt cozy in your own skin? Might be, what do I mean with cozy? Well, cozy like, when it's cold outside and you take a shower and it's just like, it just feels nice, Or when you go to bed at night and you just lay there and you feel like how the bed supports your physical body. There's nothing else you need to do. You're just laying there. And maybe it's just this fresh feeling and everything is just so cozy, That could be also a moment at ease, where you felt at ease. So I want you to think about that. I want you to remind yourself, when was the last time, either with a person or when you just felt at ease. And in those moments, this feeling of feeling good was louder than the feeling of loneliness. So you decide which one is righter, which one is more right, more true than the other. But I want you to see that both can be true at the same time. And there are also parts of us that feel different sensations at different times. So that is how I would like to end this video. I found those guidance steps. They have helped me. They have helped other peoples that I have met along my way. So I wanted to share them with you. And they're also supporting the way our brain is working, because our brain is a tool that is basically, it needs to work. But if we give them a definite task, if we tell our brains, hey, brain, thank you for these thoughts, I appreciate it, but please stop for now, and please show me more examples, show me situations where I felt at ease. In 3, 2, 1, go. You will get results from your brain. And if you feel like it's drifting away back to the old feeling of loneliness, it's all right. Just say, okay, brain, thank you. That's not what we have agreed upon. So get back, brain. Thank you for that outcome. You're doing a great job. You're working as you should. But I want you to really focus on moments where I felt at ease. Everything that does not feel at ease is not something that I want from you right now. And in that way, if you're learning to become a friend with your own brain, it can help you. It's just a tool, but you decide in which direction it goes. So if you have made it through the whole video, I really appreciate your patience. I appreciate your interest, your curiosity. I don't know when I will be posting the next video, since this is the first one. But what I can tell you for sure is that I'm committed to this path. So even if I don't know when, I will be uploading again soon. And if you want me to include a certain or specific topic that you basically want to talk about, just let me know, and I will check, and then I will uh, take that into a consideration too for the preparation for the next one. I'm also grateful and open for feedback, especially constructive feedback. And since I'm also growing, I'm learning, it is a totally new process for me. And I'm really excited also for you because you are currently right now a big part of that too. So I believe that together we can really build a beautiful community. Um, I think also one thing that I want to mention, if you have found the way to this channel, you are probably a kind soul, and there's no need for me to say the following things, but I just want to make sure that we treat each other with respect, especially also in the comment section. Please, I would wish for us all to be mindful and to allow people the space to share if they want to share too, um, and to be there for each other. So I don't think there's nothing to worry about for me at this stage, but I just wanted to get it out there. And I've made it. It's my first video, and you have been part of it. So thank you, and see you in the next one. Bye.